Remember that one comedy that the whole world still quotes 45 years later? But did you ever wonder what was really happening behind those cameras? One actress walked to the edge of a diving board, completely blind. Another man knocked on doors selling aluminum siding for 25 years before Hollywood gave him one single chance. And the man who wrote it all was dead before the year ended. Stay with me. Bill Murray as Carl Spackler. He was arrested at 19 years old for trying to smuggle 10 pounds of marijuana through Chicago O'Hare Airport, and that single moment tells you everything about the chaotic, unpredictable life that was still ahead of him. Born on September 21, 1950, in Evanston, Illinois, the fifth of 9 children in a loud Irish Catholic family, Murray grew up caddying at a local club to pay his school fees before dropping out of pre-med college and finding his way to Saturday Night Live, where he became one of the most electrifying performers of his generation. Caddyshack gave him Carl Spackler, a character almost entirely improvised, and cemented his film career permanently. But behind the fame, his personal life was unraveling. His first marriage to Margaret Kelly collapsed after 15 years when he began an affair with his second wife, Jennifer Butler. That marriage ended in 2008 when Butler filed for divorce, alleging domestic violence, drug addiction, and infidelity. She received $7 million and full custody of their 4 sons, and then died in January 2021. In 2022, a female coworker received a private $100,000 settlement after accusing Murray of inappropriate behavior on set. As of 2026, Bill Murray is 75 years old, unmarried, and still one of the most fascinating and complicated figures Hollywood has ever produced. Chevy Chase as Ty Webb. His mother used to wake him up by slapping him across the face, and that was the childhood that shaped everything that came after. Born Cornelius Crane Chase on October 8, 1943, in Lower Manhattan, New York, into a wealthy family whose grandfather's fortune was estimated at $120 million, Chevy Chase grew up with money and absolutely no emotional warmth. His stepfather was physically brutal. His mother was cruel and erratic. Those early wounds followed him into every room he ever entered for the rest of his life. Saturday Night Live made him America's first breakout comedy star, and Caddyshack cemented his place as one of the most recognizable faces of his generation. Then the darkness began catching up. A back injury from SNL pratfalls led to prescription painkiller addiction. He entered the Betty Ford Center in 1986. Cocaine addiction followed. Alcohol dependency arrived later. 3 marriages, his third to Janie Luke in 1982 being the only one that survived. 3 daughters, and a decades-long reputation as one of the most difficult people in any Hollywood room. He was excluded from the SNL 50th anniversary special in 2025. In January 2026, a CNN documentary finally captured him speaking openly about the childhood abuse that damaged everything. As of 2026, Chevy Chase is 82 years old and still carrying it all. Rodney Dangerfield as Al Chervick. He spent 25 years selling aluminum siding door-to-door in New Jersey before Hollywood finally gave him a chance. And even then, he could barely believe it was real. Born Jacob Rodney Cohen on November 22, 1921, in Deer Park, Long Island, New York, his father abandoned the family before Rodney was old enough to understand what abandonment meant. He began writing jokes at 15, started performing at 19, went nowhere for a decade, gave up completely, married Joyce Indig, moved to New Jersey, and sold siding to survive while raising 2 children, Brian and Melanie. The clinical depression that gripped him during those years never fully released its hold. He divorced, remarried, divorced again in 1970, and clawed his way back into comedy under a brand new name. His catchphrase, "I don't get no respect," was not a punchline. It was his entire emotional autobiography. He opened a comedy club in Manhattan that launched Jerry Seinfeld, Jim Carrey, and Adam Sandler. Caddyshack made him a film star at 58. He married Joan Child in 1993, 30 years his junior, and she stayed beside him through everything. After heart surgery, he fell into a coma and never woke up. On October 5, 2004, Rodney Dangerfield died at 82. His tombstone reads, "There goes the neighborhood." Ted Knight as Judge Elihu Smales. He He dropped out of high school to fight in World War II and came home carrying 5 battle stars and an unshakable hunger for the stage that nothing else in life could satisfy. Born Tadeusz Władysław Konopka on December 7, 1923 in Terryville, Connecticut, the son of Polish immigrant parents, Ted Knight enlisted the moment he was old enough, served in the European theater as a radio reconnaissance operator, earned 5 campaign stars, and returned from war determined to become an actor regardless of whatever stood in his way.
He spent years grinding through small television roles before The Mary Tyler Moore Show turned him into one of the most beloved comic actors on American television, winning 2 Emmy Awards for the magnificently pompous Ted Baxter. Caddyshack gave him Judge Elihu Smales and an entirely new generation of fans. Too Close for Comfort gave him his own television series. Then, in 1977, quietly and without public drama, he was diagnosed with colon cancer. He fought it, achieved remission, kept working through everything. In 1985, the cancer returned and spread aggressively. Surgery brought serious complications. He kept filming his show despite doctors ordering him to rest. He married Dorothy Smith in 1948, and she was beside him for every single day of it. On August 26, 1986, Ted Knight died at home at 62 years old, with his wife and 3 children around him. Michael O'Keefe as Danny Noonan. He lied his way into the lead role by telling producers he was a scratch golfer, and then had to quietly teach himself enough about the game to survive 11 weeks of filming without getting caught. Born Raymond Peter O'Keefe Jr. on April 24, 1955, in Mount Vernon, New York, the eldest of 7 children in a large Irish-American Catholic family, Michael O'Keefe trained at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts and arrived at Caddyshack already carrying an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor for his shattering performance in The Great Santini the previous year. He later said nobody who was actually present on that Caddyshack set could fully remember making it, and he got sober immediately after, describing it as the last time he ever used cocaine. After the film, he built a varied and genuinely respected career across film, television, and Broadway, appearing in Roseanne for 3 seasons, guesting on The West Wing, Homeland, and Law & Order, and earning an MFA in creative writing from Bennington College. He wrote song lyrics for 2 Bonnie Raitt albums, one winning a Grammy Award. He and Raitt married in 1991 and divorced in 1999. He later married actress Emily Donahoe in 2011, and they have a son together. He spent 43 years as a devoted Zen Buddhist before publicly renouncing his vows in 2024. As of 2026, Michael O'Keefe is 71 years old and still working. Cindy Morgan as Lacey Underall. She was legally blind without her contact lenses, and nobody on that film set knew it until she climbed to the top of a diving board and genuinely could not see where the water was below her. Born Cynthia Ann Sikorsky on September 29, 1951 in Chicago, Illinois, the daughter of a Polish factory worker and a German mother, Cindy Morgan was the first person in her entire family to attend college. She worked as a radio DJ, quit on air during a labor dispute with a record still spinning on the turntable, modeled for Fiat, appeared in Irish Spring commercials, and arrived in Hollywood in 1978 using a name borrowed from a story about Morgan Le Fay she had read as a child. Caddyshack was her very first film role. Tron in 1982 followed, making her one of the rare performers of her era to appear in 2 genuinely landmark films back-to-back. She spent 6 seasons on Falcon Crest, appeared across dozens of television shows throughout the 1980s and 1990s, and became a passionate advocate for military families in her later years. She moved to Lake Worth Beach, Florida, and was working on a memoir about Caddyshack she never finished. On December 30th, 2023, Cindy Morgan was found dead of natural causes in her Florida home by her roommate returning from vacation. She had been alone for several days. She was 72 years old. Brian Doyle-Murray as Lou Loomis. He is the reason this entire film exists, and his younger brother got most of the credit for it. Born Brian Murray on October 31, 1945, in Evanston, Illinois, the eldest of 9 children in the same large Irish Catholic Murray family that produced Bill Murray, Brian Doyle-Murray grew up caddying at the Indian Hill Club in Winnetka, Illinois, watching the class dynamics of country club life from the very bottom, and filing away every character and every moment he observed for something he did not
not yet know he would one day write. He co-wrote the Caddyshack screenplay alongside Harold Ramis and Douglas Kenney, drawing directly from those caddy years and basing every character on real people he had actually known.
He then appeared in the film itself as Lou Loomis, the gruff caddy master keeping fragile order over controlled chaos. He added his grandmother's maiden name Doyle to avoid confusion with another working actor. He co-wrote Animal House before Caddyshack, appeared in Groundhog Day, Christmas Vacation, Wayne's World, and voiced the Flying Dutchman on SpongeBob SquarePants for years. He co-owns the Murray Brothers Caddyshack restaurant near St. Augustine, Florida with his brothers. He married Christina Stauffer in 2000. As of 2026, Brian Doyle-Murray is 80 years old, the last surviving writer of a script that permanently changed comedy. Sarah Holcomb as Maggie O'Hooligan. She appeared in two of the most beloved comedies Hollywood ever produced, back to back, and then vanished so completely that nobody outside her own family has seen her face in over 40 years. Born in Connecticut on September 11, 1958, Sarah Holcomb was just 18 years old when Animal House cast her, and only 21 when Caddyshack cast her again as Maggie, Danny Noonan's warm and genuine girlfriend. She was magnetic on screen, completely natural, and every door in Hollywood was standing wide open for her at the exact same moment. Then every single one slammed shut simultaneously. Co-writer Chris Miller later told the New York Post the truth. Fast crowd, drugs everywhere, bad company, and a young woman who got completely destroyed before anyone around her intervened. Reports of schizophrenia began circulating through the industry. She was institutionalized for a period. She never made another film after Caddyshack. A 2004 film called Stateside, about a young actress destroyed by mental illness, is widely believed to be based directly on her story. Michael O'Keefe has spoken carefully about those years, acknowledging the environment was genuinely dangerous for anyone without defenses strong enough to survive it. As of 2026, Sarah Holcomb is believed to be living quietly in Connecticut under a different name. Nobody has seen her since 1980.